All right, call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. We'll start with the board norms, which are to maintain our focus, communicate respectfully, be present, keep the board productive and effective, and respect the agenda, including the timeline. All right, any changes to the agenda?
Al, I apologize for not getting to you sooner with this, but this has been like developing all day. If I could just have 5 minutes at the end to just kind of update the board on where this electric bus task force is, because there's some pretty large developments and we may need to move very quickly to take advantage of.
Oh, okay. All right, so that's new business, so let's call that D under new business.
Yeah, and literally a 5-minute update, because there's still
Yep.
a couple more meetings that have to be had, and we might have to have a quick meeting in August, off schedule or something.
Okay,
You got all of
Quick.
them? You got all of them.
all right, great. Thank you.
Okay,
New
thank you.
business D, thank you. Anything else?
5 minutes, see what happens.
No? All right. Moving on to correspondence. I don't believe we had any correspondence. Members of the public, if you have anything that you would like to speak to that's not on the agenda, please go ahead and do so now. Otherwise, we'll wait till we get to it on the agenda. All right, seeing none, we will move on. New business, financial update. Lori Garland.
Hi, everyone. Most of you are out there in Zoom land. I emailed a fund balance update. It's just a summary. We're, of course, finishing the end of the year, still doing accrued runs, so these are not final numbers by any means, but I highlighted, listen fast because I'm trying to be efficient. I highlighted the funds that you generally work in the most, the general fund, the food service, reserve fund, and capital budget, or capital building fund. So it's looking like you'll be ending the year after we move some money to capital that you agreed to move out of the $175,000 you put aside for deferred maintenance. So looking positive, about $161,000 surplus there. We'll move that actually down to reserves, so that'll put your reserves somewhere in the $750,000 range. So that is really good news because, as we head into a new budget year, that'll be good to have. One other thing I want to bring to your attention is the food service. We're actually expecting more revenue. We don't have all of our revenues in from June, so I expect that $123,000 surplus will actually be a little bit more. And that has to be used for the food service, but I am sure if you talk to your new food service manager and your director of operations, they can make quick work of that $123,000. Capital buildings, there's $51,000 in there now. We're going to add that other 52, so that brings that to about 104. That's really the funds that you deal the most in. The others are grant funds. You'll see some negatives there. That's just merely a transactional thing that has to happen at the end of the year to cover those deficits. Basically, Wyndham Central sub-granting the money to West River. Is there any questions?
Just one question, Lori, on the food service.
Yeah.
I don't have the budget in front of me. What did we plan on for next year for revenues and expenditures?
For next year, I don't
Just
have.
wondering if we'll have the same kind of a revenue bump.
No, so the reason that there's such a revenue bump this year is because all the food is being paid out at the seamless summer option, which is federal. And so it's a much higher reimbursement rate. And so that's the bump for this year. It will not be happening next year.
Okay.
It should be more in line with budget next year.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, thank you, Lori.
You're welcome.
All right, so the next is permission to sign a TAN, a tax anticipation note, and banking resolution. And Lori has so graciously actually put the motion in front of me, so I can read the motion, entertain that motion, and we can move on. But, and did you want to speak to either?
The banking resolution is because you no longer have Rick Hagee as the treasurer, so you appointed me as the treasurer, so we need to get all new signature cards and all of that. So that's what the resolution, the banking resolution is for. It allows me to sign checks and other people in my office to sign checks.
Great. All right, thanks. So the motion reads, to adopt omnibus business deposit account certified resolution and appoint to board chair to sign on board's behalf. I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Yep. You got it.
Okay, great.
Unanimous.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Tell Drew and Lindsay, thank you very much for the quick thumbs up. That's very helpful.
Snappy thumbs up.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, on to the next one, the TAN. The motion is to approve tax anticipation note in the amount of $1.5 million for a period of 6 months. I'll entertain that motion.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Oh, look at that, Leanne and Crystal.
Aye.
Boom.
Oh, and Joe, guys are getting good.
Fast thumbs.
So Al, I have to say something on that one.
Oh, of course, please.
So the tax anticipation note actually needs to be signed by a majority of the board, and then the board clerk as well. So we will leave this at the central office on the front desk.
It'll be in a manila folder like this.
Okay, so please stop by in the next couple of days because I cannot draw the money until we have the signatures.
All right. And so I guess we can start doing it all here, right?
Yeah,
Is it
everybody
just-
that's here can go ahead and
Is
sign.
it printed name and then signature? Or
Yes.
is it just, or just signature?
So yeah, just signature here, and so you can move over to here. The treasurer signs here, that's me, so that'll be me signing that.
Okay, so just signature, no
Yeah,
printed
no
name.
print.
And does the clerk have a specific place to sign?
Yeah, but I have to
That's
contact
me.
her.
That's
No, it's Sarah.
Oh, the other clerk?
Oh,
then?
the clerk of the district,
Of the
not the clerk
district.
of the board.
Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Great.
thank you.
All right, you guys wanna, I think it's in all of the tabs, right? All the sign here, on every one of those pages?
No, just the front one for the board.
Just the front one for the board. Okay, great.
You may have to sign it, I think. Hold on, just make sure I agree with what I just said.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Nope, you gotta sign this one too. Should have done them in different colors like I usually do.
Well,
Yeah,
each one is on the side, not the bottom.
That's true.
great, okay. All right, now moving on to chair to sign contracts.
Normally we would bring a stack of contracts, but you can imagine when we're filling positions during the summer, they come in when they come in. So I'm going to ask the board for two separate motions. One is to permission for the board to sign this particular contract, and then second, for the chair to be able to sign contracts between meetings. And then we'll bring forward retroactively the contracts that he signed. The challenge we're having right now is we have people that have multiple offers and multiple interviews, and they want to have a contract before they don't go to an interview or they don't consider something. So it would just be a nice tool to have if we could make those two motions. One to just sign this current contract, and then another for the board chair to be able to sign contracts until the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is August 10th.
So moved.
It's two separate contracts, or two separate motions, right?
You can make it into one motion, it's
One,
fine.
okay. Okay. So we got 1 and 2?
Yeah.
All right, any
Agreed.
discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Look at those thumbs. I
Boom,
love them.
boom. All right, motion carries
All right,
unanimously.
Joe has exactly 5 minutes, according to the agenda.
right. Floor is
Wow,
yours.
pressure's on. Okay, so, I've had a couple of meetings now with the task force people, and apparently our district has been designated by the federal EPA as a priority district for electric bus purchase. There is a grant which fully funds the purchase of however many buses, well, we ask for however many buses we need, and the grant fully funds the purchase. We've met with one provider called Lion Transportation. They have a grant department. They will help us apply for this grant, and we can actually apply as a district, but with the cooperation of West River Transportation. They would own the buses, not us. So we don't get in the bus business. West River gets free electric buses, and the only catch so far for us is that we have a 5-year contract then with West River to provide our transportation. My guess was that we needed 6 or 7 to run the whole West River, and we'd have to figure that out. But there are also 2 other bus companies that also know that we are a priority EPA grant and are very interested in presenting to us, and we're setting that up for early next week. And again, they will help us apply for the grant. We need to connect with West River Transportation sort of urgently and meaningfully. But at the end of the day, if we need 6 or 7 buses to run our entire, what we use with West River, we apply for that grant. These buses are worth $375,000 a piece. We get the bus for free, no borrowing, no paying and getting paid back, no nothing. We just get the bus. And we get $20,000 per bus in infrastructure money to help set up the thing. I personally don't see a downside. The biggest thing with this is that the grant closes like August 10th or 12th or something. So we would have to probably have a meeting, a special meeting, or stick it on the long-term planning agenda or something to actually authorize this and move forward if we want to. It's really fast, and it just sort of came together in a hurry, and I just kind of wanted to alert everybody to it. I can answer some questions, but I don't know a whole lot more than I just told you.
Well, it sounds amazing. I mean, we all, as much as we like $6 a gallon diesel, this sounds amazing. I guess one question is I know what you said, you don't want to get in the bus business, but at some point, wouldn't it be easier just for us to hire CDL drivers and not have to pay another company in their profit?
Well, the hitch in that is to get a bus, you have to give a bus. So you have to either have a 2011 bus that's old and scrap it, or a 2012 bus, and you're actually allowed to sell the 2012 bus and keep the money. You just have to get a diesel bus off the road to get the free bus. So to get into the business, we would have to go find some buses to give away.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Lindsay has one.
Emily's got a hand.
Oh, I couldn't tell, okay. Emily?
Thanks. It's not really a question, more of a comment. I appreciate the work that's being done on this. This is really important, and I am thrilled that we're moving forward with this. Obviously, financially, it makes sense as well. I just want to encourage us to make sure that we stay focused on trying to work, and it seems pretty clear from what Joe just said, trying to work with local providers. First, I'd love to see that be our top priority, if at all possible, is to go through a local company. So, thanks.
Thanks, Emily.
I have one follow-up question. How soon could we have the buses?
We would apply for the grant, we would find out in October if we have them, and then we would have them a year later.
Can I ask a question?
Of course. Lori?
So,
And it's 12 cents a mile to move the buses, apparently.
Joe, what is the procurement process around that? Is, you're talking about one company, but normally with any federal grants, you've got a bid process that has to happen and,
Because we're a priority district, they're letting the manufacturer make a deal with us, make a deal to sell the buses, and we don't have to get bids. At least that's what I understand from the one conversation. You know, this is we've been identified as a priority district. There are very few rules. It's kind of wide open. That we can redo this, we can revisit this again next year, but we may not be a priority district. And then there are many more hoops to jump through, I'm told. At least we think.
Bob?
Yeah, I love the idea too, I echo Emily. My question is if it's owned entirely by West River, for example, as the company who buys it and owns it, what's to prevent them at the end of their contract with us from just selling them and closing shop and pocketing the value?
Probably nothing.
Maybe nothing. I mean, we have a 5-year deal with them. We may be able to negotiate some sort of side deal, but the EPA requires a 5-year commitment. I guess that would be a pretty shady business practice. Since we're going to go out of our way to work with a local company, for them to turn around and stab us in the back after 5 years would be poor business practice. But I don't know if there's anything that prevents them from actually doing that. Usually. Once we look at the other two companies and we can make a recommendation as to we think the board should pursue this grant with this entity, we'll get documentation in, we'll get West River and West River Education and the district working with the manufacturer to put it all together and get it submitted before the grant close date.
What's the deadline? 8/12, did you say?
I think when's our meeting? August 10th?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure the deadline for the grant is the 12th. So we probably couldn't wait till our 10th meeting to say, yeah, let's do this.
It would have to be the long-term planning on 8/1. Yeah.
8/1 would probably be cutting it a little close, but we could do it.
We can
Okay.
Especially
we
if
could do
you
an emergency
start talking
meeting.
to the people. We could get the process going a little bit. We would have documentation for that. I know the provider that I met with yesterday, they would be happy to come and make a presentation to the board and answer questions. Although at this, they didn't volunteer for this meeting, but they said, in the future, there's opportunity for West River to go out to somewhere in Illinois and actually drive and ride in and play with one of these buses.
Do they pay the board to go out there?
No, I'm not sure. I think West River would have to go on their own, but,
Joe, I know we have some other questions, but the $20K per bus for the infrastructure, what was that exactly for?
Charging.
charging.
Oh,
charging
charging.
stations,
Got it.
helping you get the garaging right. These things are incredibly computerized. They were talking about, they know the bus needs to be ready to go at 6 o'clock in the morning. So at 5:30 in the morning, the bus turns itself on. And because we're in Vermont and it's really, really cold, it has a diesel auxiliary heater because the heat pump can't keep up for the heat. So the diesel auxiliary heater turns on, and so when the people get to the bus at 6 o'clock in the morning, the bus is warm, the snow is melted, everything's ready to go, and you just flick the switch and go. And the kids are warm.
Wow. Ken, and then Emily.
Can we have a special meeting at the end of the month? Just on
Of
this
this
topic,
month?
We can do anything.
right? Okay, it'd have to be a special meeting, it couldn't be an emergency, it'd have to be a special.
Right.
Yeah, just warn us. But Joe, what do you think about planning a meeting at the end of July?
I think that would be fine. You know, we're gonna meet with the other two companies next week. So by the end of next week, beginning of the following week, we should have everything that we can, you know, show you the three, and, you know, the board can choose which company it wants to pursue it with, if it wants to move forward with it. And then we can, you know, once we say, let's do this, my sense from the one meeting that we had is the company literally takes over. It's like, you know, we need the answers to these 20 questions, we need some titles and VINs, and then we'll get the grant in for you. We have a department that does that, and we will take care of it. No effort for us.
They were at the table.
Yeah, it sounds it. Emily
Yeah.
and then Lindsay?
Yeah, this-
Sorry.
Lindsay, you go first because I've already asked a question. I'll go after you.
Sorry, Emily, I just have really terrible service. I'm sure he called on you first.
You go,
Oh,
you
go
go,
ahead.
Lindsay.
Okay, I just wanted to say that I would really like a presentation of some sort on this before I can say yes or no to it, because I know there are drawbacks to electric buses as an idea. I would like to know what the, who's against it and why. I would like to know who's for it and why. And I just want to make sure we actually have all the information other than just saying it's strictly a financial decision.
I'm not sure who would give that presentation. Do you have any thoughts? The bus company is certainly not going to tell us why they're against electric buses. You know, I'm not sure who the naysayers are in here to give you the information you're asking for.
Oil companies.
You can speak to that, Emily?
I can't speak to that specifically, but I could say that we're not the first ones to do this.
No.
And so it might behoove this group to speak to some folks who already have engaged with companies around electric buses to find out what the pros and cons are. I actually echo Lindsay's comments because I think it's important that we know what we're getting into. And I just, since I think, Al, it's my turn, I
Yes.
just want to follow up sort of on what Bob said. Thank you, Bob, because that is really important. It's a really important question, and the group that are looking into this, Joe, you and the rest, I think we really need to get some answers. And it sounds like you haven't had a conversation yet with West River, so you know that's going to be really critical. But I just want to echo what Bob said, that if we can go with a local company, and mind you, when I say this, it has to make sense financially, right? I mean, that it just, our taxpayers need to know that we're looking at dollars as well as local. But if we can do that, I think it helps us in the long run to go with a local company. And so I just wanted to sort of pass on my thoughts around that. But I trust that this group will look into it thoroughly and give a good presentation to the board. And I recommend we do have a separate meeting ahead of time before we make a decision.
Yeah, I'm sure that the other members of the task force have spoken to the other districts that have done this and do know some of, do probably have those answers.
And just to piggyback on what Emily and Bob said, it is important to have that conversation with West River and all the companies. But I was, one thing that just came to my mind is, after the 5 years, like Bob said, what happens? So I wonder if there could be in the contract, if for some reason the contract terminates in 5 years, the buses revert back to West River or something. That way we don't find ourselves without buses or totally being held hostage for a contract.
If they're trading
The way I
diesel
understand
buses,
it,
they
we
can't.
don't actually ever own them, so we would probably just have to negotiate sort of an evergreen clause into the
Yeah,
contract with
something like
West
that.
River, so that we get to use them in perpetuity.
For the bus's useful life.
Or is there an option to?
Apparently, it's like a long time, because
Good.
these things are composite and they don't rust, supposedly.
They're perfect for Vermont roads.
And I suppose we couldn't own them and lease them to West River because we don't, as you said before, we don't have the buses to give to get
Giving
what
the
in
buses
return.
is a stumbling block.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
It's also a good thing, right? You're taking you're taking fossil fuels off the highway and putting an alternative on the highway. So there's a reason for that.
Right.
Lori?
Okay, well, I'll continue to pursue. If you think of questions, just shoot me an email.
Lori's got something.
Next week.
Just
What?
a couple comments. One, that usually with federal type assets, there's a specific way you have to get rid of them. So that may, discourage them from selling them. The other thing is I just wanted to clarify, Joe, you said it was $20,000 per bus towards infrastructure. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly?
Or infrastructure, yes.
So you're talking, $120,000, $160,000. I mean, that is probably not going to be enough to put in charging stations and a garage. My question would be, who picks up the tab? So that might be something to bring back to the group.
That would be part of the negotiation, I guess, with West River or whatever bus company we ended up using. I mean, from the conversation, 20,000 seemed like it was going to be more than enough to get charging going, but like building a new garage, you're probably right. But if you've gotten rid of 7 buses to get 7 buses, don't you now have 7 parking spaces? I don't know. But this is all good stuff. We'll find out.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So it just sounds like the board should be prepared that in a week or something, they could get an email that says, we're going to have a meeting on July 29th or whatever.
Special meeting, yeah.
okay, one last question.
Go ahead.
If West River wants to do this, right? They have to turn their buses in, right? To get the electric buses. This is what I'm getting here. So if they have to do that, then isn't it all pretty much their gamble? It's up to them to make the decision if it's going to be a good business practice for them to go electric.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they don't want to do it, it's
So-
not going to happen.
All we basically need is a meeting with West River says, yes, we want to go ahead and do this. Give us your blessing and make your motion.
Well, I think Joe said that in between now and when the board would meet at the end of July, a conversation with West River to find out their interest in doing it.
Yeah, and then if they say, yes, we want to do it, we don't need to say, well, so it's up to West River to say what they think is the pros and cons of having an electric versus a diesel bus. Because they're going to have a contract with us to take our kids and bring them to school and home again.
Right. We
So-
have a transportation.
So they need reliable transportation to uphold their end of the contract,
That's good.
right? So there's pretty much all the digging we don't have to do. That's their job.
And again, last week of July, we will find that out.
That's right.
Okay?
Lori, ballpark, what's our fuel cost?
That's my next question.
The diesel cost, I believe it's somewhere in the $40,000 range.
Okay.
We pay the diesel, West River doesn't, because we can claim the tax exemption.
Gotcha. Oh, yes, WCSU
Right.
implications. Anything with this?
Right. Can we
WCSU.
claim the electric?
This is,
From our solar facility?
From our solar
is this
facility?
bigger than WRED?
No, because if I understand it correctly, the district has been identified as a priority district.
Right.
Right, not the SU, the district.
Right.
Okay,
And it doesn't sound like the money passes through Wyndham Central
Which would be
or
Nope.
West River.
clean.
So that's,
okay, good. Phew, just want to get that one out of the
thank
way.
you.
All right, anything else for Joe? No. Thank you, Joe, really appreciate it. That's
Yeah.
the best news I've heard all day.
Deep knowledge, bro.
Yeah, that's good news for sure.
Incredible.
Well, glad to bring some good news for a change.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 8th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Got an aye. Yep.
Oh, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And approve financials. Joe, is that you or Dana?
I don't have the number in front of me.
I did.
Dana?
There was $158,202.53.
Nice, Dana.
My
I think
fault.
that's right.
I don't have my laptop with me, so I can't tell you.
52 cents. 52 cents. I'm not wearing my glasses.
158, 202, 52?
Yeah, 150. Hey, 202.
All right, I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all
Fine,
those,
I don't
seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 know. Hi.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Great. Okay, moving on to long-term planning update. So, good meeting on Monday. Definitely, certainly a lot to chew on, and I think we got some pretty clear guidance on the fact that we were looking for value, and one of the things in terms of that was to have a school quality report. We want to get a third party. I think administration, everybody agrees that's a fantastic idea to have a third party review. Just kind of further emphasizes what we do at the school and any necessary improvements. Yeah, and I think, anything else, Bill? Before
No, I would just say that we were fortunate enough at the SU level to have the district management group in 2017 come and do essentially an operational audit of instruction. And we have used that as a blueprint over the past 5 years of how to improve our operations. So I think it's a fantastic idea. The last 4.5 years, the conversation has been centered around value, or as Lindsay likes to say, bang for the buck. And so I think that makes a ton of sense, and I think that is absolutely a path that we want to go down.
All right.
Drew's got a question.
Go ahead, Drew.
Does that mean that we're going to stop this long-term planning process for the high school and wait what was explained to us to be 2 years for a report? Because the way it was explained Monday night is it's going to take multiple years to get that information. I'm just curious if-
No, it's a great, sorry, Drew. No, it's a really good question. There are two separate things. One was authorization through NEASC. NEASC is an authorization every 10 years. That is a separate path. You could use that as a, in lieu of a school quality review. I was kind of thinking that it would be a more immediate thing, that you would immediately look into some vendors that could provide that type of service for the entire district, pre-K through 12.
So similar to the DMG where we got something much more quickly and actionable.
Quickly and robust.
Yeah.
And, no, but I agree with Drew. We don't want to slow down decision-making.
What is the timeline if we go through this new study, new whatever we're going to call it?
Yeah.
What is our decision timeline? Because
so-
we've already taken a year.
I would imagine that if the board wanted to do this, I don't think it would impact your decision. I think value of this that the board has for the schools is a parallel path to making decisions about operational structure. So I wouldn't I could be wrong, and of course, it's a board decision. I would think that both things are happening at the same time. We're still encouraging the board to make an operational, structural decision, and the board is still incredibly interested in increasing the value that our constituents, citizens invest in our system.
The way it was explained on Monday night, and that was that we would be awaiting the results of this study in order to understand whether we want to keep our high school open or closed. That was the context that it was explained, and that was going to be a tool to see whether the school had enough value to stay open. So we committed as a board to making that decision in 60 days at budget time. That's what we said last year. We're going to kick this can a year. So to me, it sounds like we're going to be having our staff, students, and public kind of hanging out there wondering about the long-term future of Blue and Gray again.
So maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's a separate decision. I think the board has, as you point out, has committed to making a decision, and I think that the board needs to make that decision. A school quality review would be done even if you weren't going to make a decision. If everything was already done, it's simply a deep dive into the value of what is being provided instructionally to our citizens. But I could be wrong, but I would not suggest or want anything that would put off a decision that the board has committed to making by October.
Did we lose him? Nice. All right. Okay. Any other questions? All right, moving on to next regular board meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris.
Yeah, can you
Sure.
just say what's gonna happen next with long-term planning?
Yeah, sure. For our next long-term planning meeting on,
August 1st, we will review everything that was presented to us from the elementary task force and the secondary task force. There were some other...
I'm bringing back the financial implications of the elementary task force recommendations. The board asked for Bob to bring back information he's already provided, but very specific about high school graduation rates. There was a request to ask, could the dashboard from the AOE be explained, because that is a place that people go to investigate school quality. And I was asked to check in with the attorney to clarify the different considerations that communities may take in trying to exit the West River District itself. As Drew pointed out on Monday night, that has already happened in Jamaica, but it was just, the board just wanted a clarification so that they knew the process, so that if anybody asked, this is the process. And there was another procedural question. I can't remember right now, but that's
That's what we'll be reviewing.
And really what I think the board on the 1st is going to be really talking about, to Drew's point, is we have 60 days to make a decision about the operational structure of our buildings, and what is that going to look like July of '23, and also what is the longer term work, not only making a decision for the budget, but also what is the longer term goal and for structure that the board will be providing to the public.
Thanks.
What he said.
I have a question.
Sure.
And I apologize if I just missed something. I attended virtually on Monday and I was having audio issues. So the Padlet that was put together by the community members, there was a lot of work went into that, and I know there were questions posted on there. was there a decision made on how those were going to be answered, so that we can give the answers to the community?
Yeah, well, I think clearly what we talked about was that it probably wouldn't make sense for one person to, or one board member to respond to these. I think it might be best to maybe look at them collectively, or there are any themes, Les kind of pulled some of those together. And yeah, but we definitely need to answer some of those. There were certainly some frequently asked questions, and we need to have some frequent answers for those questions. So.
Do we want to add it to our August 1st meeting to kind of go through some of those?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to have Les pull together the more common ones. And there may be even ones that we can have answered in advance of the August 1st meeting. So, you got a hand. Crystal.
I was just wondering what happened with, I think it was the last board meeting or the board meeting before. We had asked Bill to speak to the attorney about what can be done about securing Leland and Gray in the district so that, they don't always feel like they're going to close and people have job security. And I don't think I've heard anything on that.
Well, if that was a task for me, I haven't done it. But I'm happy to do that because I'll be talking to the attorney about clarifying the pathways of extraction. So that's easy enough for me to follow up on.
I mean, I could be mistaken, but I thought that Drew brought that point up.
No, I think it's absolutely worthwhile to get the confirmation. I think we had an earlier discussion a couple months ago about altering the Articles of Agreement. So you would amend the Articles of Agreement to change the language that would be specific to not closing Leland and Gray. And then what would the process be to amend the Articles of Agreement, which would have to go in front of the electorate. I remember having that discussion. I don't remember that I was going to check with the attorney, but that's neither here nor there, and I can absolutely do that.
Yeah, that's what I remember from a couple of months ago as well. Just kind of codifying that. That's what we talked about.
I'll find out.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks, Crystal. All right. Anything else? So next regular board meeting, we currently have it as August 10th. I think we have quite a bit going on, so it may be worthwhile, even if folks have to Zoom in, to have that meeting. Does anybody disagree? I know we had talked about potentially skipping a summer meeting, but I don't know. Want to get everybody
going
else.
on.
Yeah. We're adding meetings because
We need more meetings this summer.
Is what it is.
All right, so does everybody agree with an August 10th, Zoom or otherwise? Okay, all right.
And everybody needs to keep their eyes open for.
All right, now you got to
Special
pass the
meeting.
meeting off to our buddy Joe.
Okay, Joe, I'm going to pass it off to you for executive session, and I will recuse myself at this time.
And can you guys all sign and give to Lori so she can leave? That's for me. We just hired another one, so I'm glad we made that motion.
Do you have it with you?
Well, you're sticking
I've got
around,
a
right?
PDF. I'm here.
That way they can-
Dana's here. I'm here. I got to run the Zoom.
You're gonna stay and be host. Can you give me screen sharing ability and I can put the document up?
Sure. I will wait until Mr. May's BCTV all leave me.
You get the.
Oh, yeah, we got a few online people who've gotta go too.
Yeah, on that I can take care of.
Right.
What?
Copy that too, like there. The other one, two different copies.
Yeah, you signed them all three though. You're exact.
Yeah.
We got everybody here?
Chris. So good to see you, buddy. Hey, you got a story out of it. That's the key, right?
Thanks, Lori.
All right, Lynn, is that everybody on the
It's
on the
called job
boxes?
security.
We're good? We're good on the boxes? Okay. And you're just gonna leave everything on?
Yeah, do you need a vote to go in there yet?
Yes, Joe is gonna do it right now. Joe, you're gonna call for a vote? You see it on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So if somebody wants to make the motions to go into executive session, that would be great. I would entertain one. Them.
You want me to do it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. I'll move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding labor relation agreements with employees would put the board at a substantial disadvantage because the school board's risks disclosing its negotiation strategy if the proposed contract terms are discussed in public.
Okay, so we have to vote on that motion, right?
Right, that's the first
Is there a
item.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye, or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
I got an aye, but no thumbs up from Drew. Come on, Drew, give me a thumbs up.
Yay!
Thank you. All right. The motion passes unanimously. So there's another motion, please.
I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I, Section 313 of the Vermont Statutes for labor relations agreements with employees. 313A1, and it's the agreement is WCSU/WRED Master Agreement Negotiations.
Is there a second?
You want it?
I will second.
Sarah seconded.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye or give me a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Everybody said aye in the room, right?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right, we're out of executive session. I would entertain a motion to approve the MOU as presented between the West River Education District and the WNEA, effective from 2022 through 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Everybody in the room?
Yep, unanimous.
All right, it's unanimous, the motion carries. One further motion, I think, right?
That's it.
All right.
Anybody want to make it?
Anyone?
Go for it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your evening.
Go.